Southern Woods and Waters is brought to you by Gander Mountain, Greenform Construction, the Burns Insurance Group, Cunningham Buick GMC, Nashville Marine, America's Motorsports, and now here's Hugh.
All right, welcome everyone to this Thursday night's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. Let me tell you something. We got a great show for you tonight. One that I have been looking forward to for a long, long time. Finally found me a volunteer that was willing to talk to me about it. But this is something that's near and dear to my heart as far as hunting goes. And it's real controversial, so I'll tell you that up front. But tonight we're going to talk about baiting. That's right, baiting. And I know it's illegal in the state of Tennessee, but we got some issues we want to talk to you about. We got some issues we want you to think about. And the reason that we're bringing it up is to try and also make you aware that in Tennessee it's illegal. And so we're gonna give you some pros and cons. And tonight with me, my guest, my scientist at arms here, Brandon Dowdy. And Brandon comes to the tonight's show with a great bit of expertise. You went to Tennessee Tech and graduated as a wildlife biologist.
Wildlife management.
Wildlife management. So you know about all these issues we're going to talk about.
Somewhat.
And you know, now wildlife management and everything has to do with habitat and environment and water and forage and stuff like that. But tonight, I want to leave all of that, Brandon, and I want to talk to you. And now you and I are we're not necessarily, we're going to go ahead and tell you, we're not necessarily for baiting, but we're not necessarily against it either.
Right.
So
Pretty neutral.
Brandon and I are kind of neutral. We're kind of neutral, but we're willing to be the advocate for
Somebody
baiting.
got to talk about it.
Somebody's got to talk about it, don't they? But the reason that we're bringing it up, ladies and gentlemen, is because turkey season's right around the corner. I'm at last weekend in March starts the youth season. So the youth hunt in Tennessee, and then of course April 1st is looking at statewide for all adults. Corn, according to Tennessee law, if you're putting out corn right now, even for deer, and let me go ahead and tell you right up front, you can't have a sign that says this corn's for deer only, all turkeys will be shot on sight. That's not going to get you anywhere.
No, people tried that, didn't work out too good.
Didn't work out. So we're going to go ahead and tell you, 10 days prior to the season opener, that every grain of
anything that's not naturally there
has got to be put up.
Got to be gone.
And
completely.
I found out also, did you know that the electric feeders have to be disconnected?
Battery needs to be taken out of it.
Taken out of it and removed.
Yep.
Did not know that part of it.
Well, this is just my thought on it, but I think the logic behind that is if they hear that spinner running, they will still come and investigate the feeder, especially turkeys.
Oh yeah.
They hear that spinner and they're coming. I used to have a friend that called turkeys in by spraying his hose pipe on the side of a metal tin shed, and it sounded like his feeder. And they would come in his yard and he wasn't hunting them, but they'd come in his yard and check it out because they thought the feeder was going off.
Brandon, there is we're getting more and more people, and we're going to get into some really controversial stuff here towards the end. Baiting with corn, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you my thoughts on it. You tell me yours. Baiting with corn, and I know a lot of people think, well, that's bringing them into one spot, but so's a food plot. If I got a 1/4 acre food plot and I'm putting radishes and turnips and everything that a deer likes, that's an attractive. There's a gray area between baiting and a natural.
There is.
Come on now.
You get a lot of arguments on that, both ways.
Both ways.
A lot of guys don't think you ought to hunt over corn. It's just not right to hunt over corn. And they'll have a 1/4 acre of biologic or radishes or something out there hunting over it. I mean, so it kind of goes both ways. But either way, the deer don't need us. they're not relying on us. Whether we've got a food plot out or corn out, doesn't matter. They've lived a long time without us, and could probably go on beyond without us. But the point is they don't.
In other words, you don't think they're going to starve
It's attractant either way. They're not going to starve to death. The point in having that food plot there is no different. It's to put the deer in front of the hunter, and it becomes useful if you have a little small piece of property somewhere and you might have houses around. You need that deer in that spot to be able to shoot him, to be safe or whatever, and it's the kind of the same concept, really.
It is, isn't it? I mean, it really, if you look at apples to apples, it's not a whole lot of difference.
Not a lot, not in my opinion.
One of them, now we talked about this on the way here. One of them is instant gratification. I can pour corn out of a bag, and within 24 hours, I promise you, something's going to be on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Planting a food plot, we got to wait. 3 or 4 weeks for it to germinate.
Just depending on what you've got in the ground. You may with turnips or something along those lines, you may wait 3 or 4 months before the deer eat them. It needs to get cold enough and sweeten them up before they'll ever touch them. And then all of a sudden it looks like a group of hogs has been in there and ready to feed. As soon as they get right, they'll wear them out with you.
I had to plant one food plot last year 3 times. They never would let it get up and
sometimes
mature.
They won't when you have, depending on the plant you got in, sometimes they'll never let them come in.
And it was just amazing. It'd be lush one day, and then you put a camera on, and it'd be beautiful. Next day, you come out there and look like somebody took a lawnmower. It just annihilated it. And they cut all the leaves. Well, they killed it all. Do you realize how many states, Brandon, allow baiting?
We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I was pretty surprised at the number you had told me.
Well, you said, now go ahead and say what you initially said.
I guessed it to be maybe about 15 to 20 states.
That's what you said.
And it turns out it was 29 states, is that right? So, it was actually surprised me. There's a few more than I would have figured.
And not all of them now, and let's clarify that. Out of 29 states, each one of them has a little bit different twist to their law. I mean, each one of them. Louisiana, love Cajun food all the way around. But Louisiana says you can bait and you can use anything you want to, except for one item, sweet potatoes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that was a pretty interesting
Does that not make
fact.
you want to, let's go get us some sweet potatoes?
Yeah, go into sweet potato farming this year and get us a couple fields going.
It does.
I don't know what the reason behind that would be. I don't know, but that is a pretty interesting fact.
Well, I don't know many people that don't like sweet potatoes.
No, I love them.
I do too. I eat them raw. They're good raw. But even a deer, I would have to say, or would love sweet potatoes. But I found that really unique.
It is, and then you have states that you can have it on private land only. You had some of those noted.
And out of that, let me tell you something now. What you just said, most states, 15 out of the 29 require it to be private land only.
Yeah. Private land only. You have private land only rules. You have some states, like we discussed earlier, where you can have it during the season, but you have to be X amount area away from the feed. You may have to be 200-300 yards from the feed.
Yes.
So there's different variations from state to state, but most of them, from what I understand, it's private land. Private land dwelling only. And I'd say that makes sense. You want to know where it is. You don't want a bunch of piles out on public land somewhere. Not everybody knows where they're at. It's not a safe situation.
Wanted to hit one of the states, and we used to teach this, Brandon, in hunter education or bow hunter education. Michigan is one of those states where it gets a lot of snowfall. And Michigan gets to see a lot of what they call deer yards, where the deer actually go to die. In some places, there's 10s and 20s of them, dying off in these yards. And it's mainly because they're starved to death. As the snow covers all of their veggies and everything that they're eating, they begin to eat limbs off of trees just to keep from starving to death. Bark off trees. So Michigan has a way of baiting. They allow baiting, but they are really strict. Like, there's 1 month you can't do this, the next month you can, and it's kind of odd. But they have their own reasoning, I'm sure, in their own natural resources department. but it was one of the ones that I found was interesting in that they changed so much.
Yeah.
Connecticut is another one that allows baiting, but it's only in 2 zones of the state. And Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen, is heavily populated anyway. Wisconsin is one, only certain counties in Wisconsin. No, it's not a statewide deal. But most of them have little bitty twerks and things that, you know,
you have
that they
to fit
go
it to, I mean, there's not a one-size-fits-all
No.
for any state. So I mean,
Not
they
even
have-
Tennessee.
No, not even Tennessee. I mean, that's why we have different regions, you know, for the deer regulations and things like that. There's not a one-size-fits-all for that. So I'm sure they've just got it laid out to where whatever is more proper for each individual area is the way they have it set up.
Well, we're going to give them a break and let them go get a pencil and a piece of paper so they can write the next stuff down. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to go check us out on our Facebook. Southern Woods and Waters is on our Facebook page, our Instagram page. Check us out. I want you to also go check out our website, Southern Woods and Waters website. We have got just a whole great amount of fantastic sponsors that help make this show available to you each and every week. I wish you'd do me a big favor and yourself a big favor and just contact them and say how much you appreciate them. We've got some really great sponsors: Cunningham GMC in Springfield, Flowers Deer Processing here tonight. They're going to be doing our recipe. Just a whole bunch of them. Just say hi, say hello, and say thank you to them. And I'm sure they would appreciate it. I know I will. And then check out our Facebook page. Also, excuse me. That's all I had to tease. That's all I had to tease. I did my part. Please do yours and just go out there and like them. Hey, we're going to be right back with more of this controversial issue. Should baiting be allowed in Tennessee? We'll see you right back here in just a minute.